All right, welcome to the second round of the Oasis Cup. I am Rad, one of the casters for tonight, and I'm joined by John Penny.
Hi, how's it going? I'm John Penny.
Going very well. I'm excited for the second round of the Oasis Cup. We have today the Inferno, Oasis Inferno versus Oasis Plague, one of the newer additions to the team, John Penny, and I'm very excited to see how they are going to be able to fare up against Inferno.
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking at the rosters here, looking at the notes you gave me. It looks like a very interesting matchup. I was there for the first round. Got to watch that. Very exciting. Super excited to see where round two goes.
Absolutely. As we speak, the teams are in the lobby. We are just about to get ready to swap to the actual game. I'm just going to make some final check here to make sure that we are good to go and that we have the announcement out on the server.
No problem.
And I think we should be ready to go. The announcement is out indeed. There's actually also another game streaming right now for those who are on the channel already. Oasis Abyss is going up against Oasis Mirage. So if you want to see this game from the perspective of the tank of Mirage, Shadow Thief, you can go ahead and look him up at twitch.tv/ShadowThief4502. It's also in the announcements. But for now, I think we're going to check to see if everyone's ready. And I think we're good to go as soon as we get that okay.
Cool. And I just want to check here to make sure I have the right. I'm just waiting for the in-channel stream for me to be able to watch that, right?
Yep, absolutely. So the stream should be up right now. And
No
we have this
problem.
up live on Oasis eSports Twitch as well. So we're just going to wait for this to be up. We are good to go, I think. It looks like Plague is ready to go. We're just waiting for Inferno. They are just going through some last-second tactics. I think they're ready to go. Scythe, in case you're listening, Scythe is our camera guy for today. We do have a stream delay. I am unsure if that's 3 minutes or shorter. We should have at least 3 minutes if possible. Looks like we have Inferno requesting another minute or so, and we should be good to go. I'm excited to see what map we're going to start this on. I know that we have a rule that we're going to go and vet among the Oasis teams, where the first match should be in my opinion, honestly, Oasis. As you can see right now, we are starting out on Lijiang Tower.
Very excited to see Plague here, obviously being the newer team. A much more aggressive team in theory we'll see going here. Excited to see how they can make that work, how they can, obviously they're working in with strategy and tactics, getting a bit more of the of game sense while they're mechanically very strong. So I'm excited to see where they can what they can do strategy-wise and pull off today.
Absolutely, especially when you compare these two teams. Realistically, despite Inferno having been around for a longer time, the team and its players are actually relatively new compared to the other teams on the Oasis server, like for example Abyss or Avalanche or Mirage. But Plague is a brand new team. I think they've been playing together for a couple of weeks now, whereas Inferno, in its current form, has been playing for probably 2 to 3 months now or so, if my memory serves me right.
Just to answer a question in chat real quick, I'm John Penny. I'm the co-caster for today. Hi, how's it going?
Thanks for clarifying that. Absolutely. So we are good to go. It looks like Inferno is rolling out on a more traditional brawl versus Plague, who is very much in the traditional brawl right now here with the May and the Reaper.
We're going to see Mora go down here. A couple of picks exchange.
Yep, we have 2 picks actually by Plague, 3 picks now, 2 kills by Cloud on both Anubrak, the main tank, and Ace of Spades on the Doomfist. A hero that he's not on very frequently, as I remember, but it looks like he is trying to expand his hero pool. It does look like Plague is going for the first pick here, or the first cap here, rather.
Plague's going to get the better of this first fight here. Very good. We saw Moira go down for very early on, but everything seemed to work out fine. They got the better of the picks. just holding strong here now, Rad.
Yeah, and that's kind of the strategy here with the brawl comp, right? You get to the point, you brawl it out. Whoever wins goes and holds the choke here towards the enemy spawn, and you just kind of have to try and get past that. And there's not a lot of room for Inferno here to try and swap it up to try and get some range.
Plague just very quickly rolling that fight with an early pick. They're going to be able to finish off most of the rest of the team.
Yeah, it's a very strong showing so far from Plague. It looks like they are good at holding the choke here, but the first ult's coming up. Inferno with a Coalescence and a response from Plague with the Blizzard. Very chaotic.
Ooh, wow.
And that is a big attack there by Inferno, investing a lot of ults. We did see the Shatter, the Coal, and the Death Blossom. They win the fight, get the team kill, and get control of the point. Yeah,
and they are going to be down by 1 ult now. Plague having 3. 3-2 here, ult advantage going to Plague. Interesting to see how that they're going to be able to use that and hopefully be able to bring this point back.
Absolutely. If Plague is smart, they'll try and focus Octave on the Lucio on Inferno right now, because Octave has the only answer to the Grav, the Shatter, and the Death Blossom on Plague right now.
We're going to see Plague coming in here to the point. Reinhardt going very aggressive. Lucio gets the pick on the Moira, coming in with the Earth Shatter and the Reaper Ultimate. Going to get 2 picks here, and it looks like this one's going to go to Plague.
That was a very short but effective fight. Plague did invest a lot of ults. They still have the Grav. So I wonder how Inferno is going to try and push through this, because the seconds they run through, especially with Plague coming up on the 80% here right now, all Plague really has to do if Inferno is not quick is just grab them off of the point and let it tick into 100%.
It'll be interesting to see if they decide to go with that strategy. They are above an ult now. Now the McCree ult has come out, didn't manage to get anybody with it. Plague is backing up to the point here as Inferno pushes in.
That is indeed a big grab. They seem to be off the point, but they do manage to get the tick on just before they hit the 100%. Maywell there to deny damage incoming. An Inferno with a grab, trying to clean it up. Is a brawl right now. But the Blizzard
exchanging. It's even right now, except for Plague's going to get the advantage. The Blizzard and Coalescence going together. They might be able to end this match right here with the picks they have.
And that was a big Blizzard to clean up the fight. First round goes to Plague. And that is a very nice start, a very entertaining start to Inferno versus Plague. So far, judging by the fights that we've seen now, Plague seems to be in their element, but Inferno is definitely putting up a fight here. Jump in.
I'm interested to see what if the teams decide to change anything up here, or if they decide to go out with the same brawler comps they had last round. I think both teams seemed confident in what they did. There were a lot of fights that very early on could have gone either way. Very good key ults from both teams' Reapers coming out just in time to pull a fight each way. Ends up going Plague at the end of the round, but should be a very close one for the rest of the match here, Rad.
Yeah, I wonder what this is going to look like, because I doubt that we're going to have another brawl matchup, even though saying that Inferno on the left-hand side comes out with the McCree Reaper, which does add a bit of range to their comp, but I would expect to see a little bit more long range, maybe a Pharmacy even here. But it looks like Plague is opting for the Ashe rather than the McCree, so technically speaking, in the range department, they should have the upper hand on Inferno, but as soon as Inferno has the point control here, that's where they are going to excel. So all they have to do here now is just get point control and force them, Plague, to come to Inferno to fight it out on the point. So I wonder how this is going to end.
And Plague's going to get with the first pick here. The fight's still going to last, though. We're going to see a lot of people go low. It could go either way still, but it looks like Inferno's going to need to back out. They're coming back in, and they get a pick of their own. Reaper takes down the enemy Reinhardt. He's going to get a second pick on the Mei. And they're going to be able to roll through the point and take this, it looks like.
And that is massive, massive play there by Prism to instigate the 3K now. Followed up with Mac doing a bit of the cleanup there as well. That was exactly how you should play Brawl. You get a very compact comp, you get point presence, and you force the range comp to come to you. In this case, Plague tried to engage with Inferno, but Inferno forced Plague to fight on their own ground. And that's what happens if you play this right. Especially if you have people like Prism and Octave, or not Octave, well, Octave as well, of course, but Prism and Mac in specific cleaning up here.
You know, Inferno going around to the right here. Obviously, they get that range with Ashe. It makes sense to go that way, but they are going to have to come through a longer choke, so that can have its advantages and disadvantages here. We're going to see the choke battle kind of start out here, Rad. And so let's see where this goes.
Absolutely, and I just want to point out the big play there with the Inferno McCree going for the Deadeye, but the Plague May walling McCree off. Very different play in this situation where Plague is going wide and has the Ash with the line of sight poking from a distance, and they should be able, technically, you know, if this plays out, be able to capture the point. But just like we saw in the previous fight here, Prism with 2 big kills.
Prism has really been making a showing for himself here. So far, makes some very key swings. Even in the first round, which they lost, when they did take that point, I believe they got around 34%. That was off of some very key picks right in the mid-match for Prism, and that's what Reaper really wants to do in this composition. So he's getting good value out of that pick for sure.
Absolutely, and it's very interesting to see how Plague is going to react to this. Right now, they are in a pinch, they are in a very bad situation, and they need to get control of the point with only a grab, which is used right now, and a beat, which can be used defensively. They do go off and get the first 2 kills. That's a waste of beat, unfortunately, and Inferno might be able to capitalize on this, Jumpeni, if they play this well.
With Plague is going to get 2 picks, but again, Prism getting 2 key picks right when it matters. This fight's going to actually be even now because of those key picks coming out from Prism. We're going to see Hanzo Isavibe coming in, getting 2 picks himself in the middle of this brawl. Rad, the DPS trading back and forth here. Interesting to see how this matchup follows for the rest of the
This actually was a very big play by Isavibe on the Hanzo there. I counted 4 kills, I think, including the start where he takes out Prism, and that was a key to trying to tip this fight into their balance, because as soon as you have the brawl comp on the point, like Inferno had, it's going to be incredibly difficult, Jumpeni, to go and try and break through that, but it looks like Plague was able to do that.
Yeah, Plague was able to get 2 picks here, but it looks like Inferno is going to have to back off here.
Inferno does have the Shatter and the Coalescence, 2 relatively cheap ultimates to go and try and push into the point. But the question here is Isavibe going to be able to get value with the Dragon on this point, and especially considering Inferno chooses to go wide on the left-hand side here, where the pathing towards the point, Jumpeni, is very, very narrow, and Plague might be able to fully capitalize on that if they decide to.
And we're going to see Cloud on Plague really trying to get that ultimate up, hoping that he can get a grab with the Hanzo ultimate maybe. That'd be a good combo. He is at 73%, so they're looking for that. But Beat might also come in for Inferno here just in time. But they're going to push in through the point here, Rad. A big grab coming out. That might be the ult that does it.
And it does seem to be that way, even though Plague gets 2 picks, though, to start it off with. We do have Inferno balancing it out with 2 down on their side now. They do get the pick off of Ink, who dies on the Moira, meaning the sustain for Inferno will be greatly diminished. They do have an amazing Reinhardt here on their team, and they are, it looks like, able to clean this up.
But Inferno with 2 late picks here. Genji, Ace of Spades, and Matt coming in here to clean up. They might be able to take this point, and that might be round.
Indeed, they do. That was big, and they, despite investing every single ult they had ready, it looks like it doesn't even matter anymore. They are able to finish the round up and bring the match to a draw so far on this control map. So far, this has been a very balanced game, Jumpeni. I'm liking what I'm seeing. Both very disciplined play styles, a lot more so than I'm actually used to from both of them.
Yeah, and especially Plague being the newer team, it was interesting to see how they were going to be able to come out here and match sort of an older team in Inferno that maybe strategically you might expect to be a bit more sound. But the DPS matchup here has been very interesting. These with the Reinhardt allowing and Zarya allowing for a large brawl to happen on the point. It seems these DPS are really thriving, and it seems that whichever one of them can pop off more might be the one that sways the match either way.
Absolutely, and we've been talking about Prism and Isavibe so far, but silent killers in Ace and Mind there, because they're outputting a lot of value here. And even having said that, this is a team game, so the positioning of both tanks is slightly less aggressive than I'm used to. They're actually passive when it's careful, not passive, careful. So that their support backline can keep them up. It does look like this first fight is going to be won by Plague in this game.
Of course, Inferno getting some key picks. Looks like Plague's percentage might not last too long if Inferno can come in here in time. And maybe bring this back. They might have a bit of a numbers advantage, but they're going to have to hold the choke for a little bit. Let's see where this goes.
So this fight starts off in Inferno's advantage. They get 3 picks on the get-go here, and it looks like Prism is getting 2 picks. A very nice kill there by Octave on Lucio as well, and of course Nubrak to clean it up. A very early pick again here by Ace. Very nice. This means that Plague will have to back up and regroup before committing to the engage, especially considering Ace on the Hanzo here will have a Sonic Arrow up and will be able to tell exactly where they are. Considering the Dragon up for Inferno, that's a very dangerous position to be in right now, because as soon as they start the push, the Dragon comes out and they played as well, and that's exactly what happened. And now Plague is in danger. They are split off. 2 Plague players in the back lane. Prism goes and capitalizes on that by taking out the Rain and the Can Barely Not See It. They get 3 picks here in the fight. And Jumpany, I would say that's a clean fight if I ever saw any.
Of course, and it's interesting to see both teams have very similar ult percentages right now, each with 2 the DPS very close, except for Isavibe is actually going to switch off to Pharah here. It'll be interesting to see how that pick will change the rest of the match here, right?
And that is a very good point, because picking the Pharah on control, on control center rather, is a very, very risky pick. It's very difficult to get value here on the Pharah, considering how close everything is. You know, you can't really follow up with the Pharah into the control room very well, and we can see that right now, where the ceiling is actually only just over the Pharah. But you know, saying that, Jumpany, it does look like Plague is able to clean this up, and we're getting a ton of value from Pharah.
Yeah, Plague
everything I said.
Plague managing to make the risky pick work. Of course, that might be something you'd expect to see from a younger team here. A newer team, I should say, going in. Although Inferno is going to come into the next fight with ult charge, we're going to see a Moira switch over here as well. On the side of Plague. Inferno coming in here to the point again. They do have ult advantage here, so they might need to use this. They might be able to take the point, and Plague's going to have a hard time coming back after that if Inferno can win this fight. Coalescence coming out in the point here. The Reinhardt's battling it off a little bit, Rad. Going to see how these DPS can trade again and see how this round goes.
This is a very, very brawly fight. There's a ton of ultimates being invested here. We have the Death Blossom, we have the Dragon Strike, of course. But it does look like Inferno is able to come up on top with some very, very clean play. This is a far-fetched, it's a far cry rather from the Inferno that I know. That's used to be incredibly chaotic and thriving on chaos in the fight. Despite seeing hints from that style, this has been very controlled, very disciplined so far.
And Prism very early, the DPS are going to trade back and forth with picks. Pharah ult coming out, Reinhardt managing to get a fire strike on somebody, gets 2 picks out here. Rad, we're going to see that the DPS again, Prism with an early pick, although it wasn't enough to stop what the Pharah had coming.
And there's so much value coming from the Pharah here up close, and especially considering Inferno's not really making any swaps to deal with the Pharah. They're basically saying, you know what, the pharmacy, let's just run straight into that. And if Plague has control of the point at that point, or at that moment, it's going to be very difficult to deal with that if you don't have a hit scan to take out Pharah. But you know, having said that, with enough ultimates, Inferno is able to win that fight, Jumpany, just like they did in the previous engagement.
We're going to see Inferno coming in here again. The Ryan's going to meet each other in the middle of Zarya bubble, but a Coalescence and a pick from Ace of Spades seems to be swinging the fight in the way of Inferno, although Isavibe's going to come back with a pick of his own, and Mercy is going to be able to res Mind here. We're going to see a very big brawl going out both teams even, although Reinhardt managing to get the enemy team's Moira. Prism managing to get a pick on the Pharah, and looks like Inferno is going to be able to take this final point and possibly take the round.
And that is another big play by Prism. I'm so glad that we have the camera in his perspective. Going out, preventing Plague's Reinhardt from rejoining the fight and putting on so much pressure there that Inferno ends up taking the point. So that, if anything, was a really, really good fight. And I just want to say, before we head into the intermission, that you know, a third map on Lijiang Tower between Inferno and Plague, that's, you know, almost gone to 99 versus 99. I think that we couldn't ask for a more closely matched matchup for tonight.
Very much so. And we're going to see play of the game going to Prism here, taking the point. A very key win that maybe swung the momentum of the match, and Inferno ends up taking the first match here.
Very good game. Let's head into intermission for 3 minutes, and when we get back, we will jump into map number 2 between Inferno and Oasis Plague, of course. We'll be back in about 3 minutes.
All right.
To be totally locked up by you. What a man gotta say, what a man gotta pray. To be your last good night and your first good day. So what a man gotta do, what a man gotta do. To be totally locked up by you. What a man gotta do, what a man gotta prove. To be totally locked up by you. What a man gotta do.
Yeah, you're good.
My loss made me feel like I would never try again. But when I saw you, I felt something I never felt. Come closer, I'll give you all my love. If you treat
Traveling
me
to
right,
Hollywood.
baby, I'll give you everything. My loss made me feel like I
Initiating
would never try
match.
again. But when I saw you, I felt something I never felt. Come closer, I'll give you all my love. If you treat me right, baby, I'll give you everything.
All right. It looks like we are back. So we're going to cut the music and head straight back into the match.
Very interesting to see what DPS picks come out here. Obviously, very influential of the match. Again, Prism on the Reaper was able to be very self-sufficient and get a lot of work done, obviously, through the help of his team. Very interested to see how this match goes. Again, a very close first map, Rad.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what both teams do here.
Absolutely. I can't honestly wait. This has been such a close game. Seeing both of these teams fare up and be able to put up a fight, especially considering Plague is so new and Inferno is so, recently restructured. This has been very entertaining so far. Jumping in, it does look like from the start where Plague is opting for still a slightly more brawly comp here with a TP strat likely to point. It looks like Inferno is anticipating that with 2 ranged heroes.
Very much so. And again, do I have it right? Inferno, or are they still blue right
Yes,
now?
yeah.
Gotcha.
Yes,
Make
they
sure I
are.
didn't have that wrong. Inferno is gonna have to again. This map a very hard choke to get through, and Inferno though immediately getting a pick, which is what they're gonna need to try to get through here. Although
This is very aggressive play here by Anubrek going in after the pick, and instinctively that's how you want to respond, right? You get a pick early in the game, you want to push through the choke, but it's very dangerous to get stuck in that tunnel vision where you want to try and chase the team to try and get another pick. But fortunately, Anubrek is able to spot that, and his team's able to retreat him back. That is a massive
Wow.
shatter. They break the shield, and immediately Anubrek capitalizes, lands the shatter, get a massive team kill. Very, very big play, Jumpenny. That's how you want to see your Reinhardt play in the
right,
choke.
especially off of getting that amount of value, that entire team fight, one off of one ultimate, a very strong Earth Shatter there. Gonna be curious to see what Plague does about that. Earth Shatter's gonna be very strong. Always, they can certainly win a match. So if Plague's Reinhardt isn't able to block them, that could lose them the match if they're not careful about it. But Plague pushing in here through the choke, again, a very hard choke to get through. But Rad, we're gonna see if the DPS can find something, if they can find a way through here through all the damage.
Yeah, and I like Plague's response here to swap over to the Echo Ash. And actually, it was only a couple of weeks ago, I think 2 weeks ago, that Echo Ash with the hero pool still in play was an incredibly effective comp. But it looks like they are not able to capitalize on that yet. Having lost those first 2 fights, it gave Inferno an ult advantage, and they are capitalizing on that here right now, Jimpenny. Especially when you have the Echo in play, and you can't really get that range advantage. It's going to be very tough to break through.
And a late pick from Baptiste there is gonna cost Plague a lot of time here. They have to wait for everybody to come back before they can attempt again to push through this choke. But not surprised that they've lost this choke a couple times. Again, it's a very hard choke to get through. But they're going to come strong with Reinhardt. Baptiste ultimately going to try to do something to make them back up. And a pick coming out from Inferno. But the trades back and forth here are going to make it even. Plague, although looking like they might have to back off here and wait for their teammate to come back.
And another hold here by Inferno. They're having a dream start here on the on Hanamura. Honestly, if you would ask me beforehand what the what the teams in this matchup would look like in terms of power rankings, I would have probably said that it would be a close match. But I would have expected Plague perhaps to be especially when they're relying on individual mechanical skill to have the upper hand. But Inferno has proven me wrong, Jumpenny. It's been incredible seeing them, put up the fight that they are. And having said that, Plague did actually manage to build up enough ult bank to try and tip that map into their favor.
And they do use their ultimates to get that first point. But again, like you said, Inferno holding very strong. This second point is one that is just like the first choke and famously hard to capture. A lot of easy ways you can stall this if you need to in overtime. So we're going to see what Plague's going to do here, what ultimates they can use, and how they can get them. A grab here could be big. We're going to see what Zarya decides to do.
And especially if you look at the comp here, they are actually pretty good picks here. If you consider that on the defender side you have Inferno with the double DPS with range, but it looks like the Ashe Echo here is catching the upper hand. They're not really capitalizing on their ultimates, and now we have Plague pushing the point and Inferno on the back line or on the back foot. And I'm very curious to see how they're going to be able to try and get out of this predicament.
Inferno is going to bring in some ultimates, but so is Plague. Inferno's going to try to do whatever they can to hold this through overtime, but it looks like Plague, given a couple picks, might be able to capitalize here and take this map in a somewhat fast fashion after they got through their initial hiccups of the first choke.
And I would tell you exactly how much time is left, but I can't actually read the timer here.
Yeah.
2 minutes and 54 seconds. That's actually not a bad time at all, considering how much trouble they had pushing through that first point, Jumpenny. I think that considering that finishing the map at 2 minutes 54 is a really good time, honestly.
Very good indeed, especially considering again how easy that second point can be to stall sometimes and just chip away time from the attackers. But we're going to see things switched out here. Plague managing to be very aggressive on attack. We're going to see if they can switch things up and hold it here on defense. Hopefully, they're going to be able to hold Inferno for longer than they were held themselves.
That would be what I would want here if I were Plague, and it looks like they're making good on this. Looking at the comp that Plague is bringing out, it seems like they're going to bunker up in the corner somewhere and try and prevent Inferno from coming through. The Bastion pick here is very indicative of the Plague's plan to just turtle up and let them come to them.
Of course, Bastion very strong on this map and on this first point, obviously. We're going to see what Inferno does here to counter it. Obviously, they're probably not currently aware of the pick. It would be interesting to see if any changes happen. Obviously, Reinhardt can have some trouble getting in, but Baptiste and Zarya are hopefully going to be able to keep him alive enough to get a very aggressive push, and hopefully if they focus the Bastion, they can get him down before he gets too many picks and becomes too much of a problem.
So looking at the current comp that Inferno is rolling out on, I would say the Junkrat and the Genji are probably good picks to deal with the Bastion, but the thing that I'm most curious about is the Bastion on Plague is very immobile. There's no Symmetra to teleport the Bastion around the ground here. We do see a very, very, what should we call this, ambitious dash by Isavibe on the Genji, just short of the point, and Mind is very, very casual about that. Cleans up the Genji, and Inferno goes back to spawn to try again.
I think we're going to see Inferno here. Genji trying to get through to the point before dying in hopes of making the turtle have to turn around to stop him. Again, like you mentioned, the immobility maybe being the reason for that, but it doesn't go as seemingly planned. And he's going to get picked here, but Inferno trying to find a way. Hanzo peeking around the corner, just trying to break down shield. Hopefully they can get a pick on this Bastion. They're going to need to weaken down these shields and find an angle on this Bastion and hope they can get rid of him first. Of course, Mercy on the comp, very big for the res here, and we're going to see Torbjorn going in very hard, trying to stop the enemy Inferno from pushing in. And they're going to get kind of split up here from their original turtle composition, although Plague is going to be able to find a pick on the Hanzo, Rad, and we'll see with them getting a few more picks how they're able to clean up here, if they are at all.
So this is a good start for Inferno, but Plague is seemingly somewhat able to handle this. Now, the chaos is what you want to cause if you're Inferno, right? You want to get the Bastion moving out of turret form so you can capitalize on that, and that is exactly what Inferno is doing it now. Having said that, the Bastion is back into turret mode and shooting stuff. Now,
unfortunately, they weren't able to finish off the Bastion as well when they made that chaos, which again, sometimes you can make the chaos, but the Bastion stays alive and he finds a new place to set up and ends up melting down the rest of your team, as we saw there.
Absolutely, and if I were Inferno, I would make the swap that Mac just made onto the D.Va. But Mac is not exactly known to be a D.Va player. Mac likes to be in his element on the Roadhog and potentially on the Zarya as well. You've seen a lot of playtime lately on the Zarya, but I have not seen a lot of him on the D.Va. And if you're gonna be able to dive into a Bastion, which is tough to do. You're definitely gonna need a D.Va there to eat up all of that, that turret fire.
And Mercy Res is going to be very big here in deciding how much of these picks matter. Very big trades early on to get Inferno successfully creating that chaos. Unfortunately, they're not going to be able to find Bastion and take him out to finally get this first point. I think at this point they are over the amount of time it took Plague to get to this point, so they're going to have to try to get something here. They do have 2 ultimates, but Plague currently banking on 4. 2 of which being support ultimates, which Mercies, you may be able to stop them from coming in. Very defensive ultimate there. Torbjorn as well, very effective ultimate on this choke point. So Inferno is going to have to do something, get some ultimates, and take some out from the enemy team, hopefully in time here to get this first point and make a quick push to try to get time advantage over Plague.
Absolutely, and unfortunately this is a little indicative of a team that hasn't really had as much time as some of the other teams on the server to figure out comps. And, going into that, we do see a bunch of ultimates being used here, but the Torabon, the massive actually a massive bomb there by Mac after the Plague Torbjorn gets 2 kills. Having said that, it does look like Plague is getting the upper hand of the fight here, especially considering they just used the Resurrect onto Bastion to bring their most valuable hero back into the fight. And Jumpany, I'm very curious to see how Inferno is going to respond to this.
Inferno again still trying to take this point. It is overtime. They did use the D.Va and get 2 picks with it, so Tracer's going to try to stop those 2 from getting back to the point, but not quite. We're going to see 2 picks coming out here from Plague. They might be able to stop Inferno from getting through to this first point and be able to take this map.
It does seem that way. Inferno is unable to capitalize on the picks that they are able to get, and I would be willing to attribute this to a lack of preparation on how to deal with the Bastion. And having said that, we all say and we all know how to deal with a Bastion, but when you're in the heat of the battle, that's completely different from watching a stream, watching 2 teams fight it out, or reviewing a VOD review. So it's super important to prep for that beforehand. Having said that, we are watching the play of the game here right now, and just before we head into another 3-minute intermission, I just want to say that this has been a very good game up until now, and that's evidenced by the fact that Inferno and Plague are 1-1 right now.
Yeah, we're certainly neck and neck here. Interesting to see where this goes from now. Plague, honestly, very surprising with how they handled that. Coming out strong after a good but not good enough performance on the first map. Unfortunately, not able to take that. But here they come out very strong, very confident. And are able to get a very strong win that certainly looks very good in their favor. Obviously, a lot of difficulties on that choke dealing with the Bastion, so that might be the only reason. But obviously, Plague's going to be going in here with a lot of confidence after how they handled that map.
Absolutely. So stay with us, guys. We're just going to go into a 4-minute intermission here. Both teams need to review their strategy, and seeing as we're in halftime right now, we're just going to go ahead and give them that little break. Stick with us. We will put on some music for you, and we'll be back in 4 minutes.
I've been writing love letters, cause I didn't know better, how to tell ya, I've been writing love letters, cause I didn't know better, how to tell ya, I'll be chasing California sunsets, I'll be chasing California sunsets, with you. I've been writing love letters, cause I didn't know better, how to tell ya, I've been writing love letters, cause I didn't know better, how to tell ya, how to tell ya. Chasing California sunsets, I'll be chasing California sunsets, with you.
Under the city where the people never sleep, a boy is waiting with hands up in his sleeves. In the winter where he always used to crave, he's had this love and never seems to get. He's running for his life, wanting to start again, but all his demons are chasing for all his sins. With the sunrise for another day, falling back again. We're trying so hard, don't you know we are the broken youth. We keep running, broken youth. Keep running, riding on the creeks and lakes, on the bittersweet happiness. Don't you feel you'll find a way someday? Just keep running, broken youth. She was always pure, never seen the bad things of life. Waking up to laugh with her every move. In the winter where he always used to crave, he's had this love and never seems to get. He's running for his life, wanting to start again, but all his demons are chasing for all his sins. With the sunrise for another day, falling back again. We're trying so hard, don't you know we are the broken youth. We keep running,
All right, and we are heading into map 3. We are right now 1-1 between Inferno and Plague. It's been a very exciting match so far, very, very evenly balanced, and I think especially on the first map, we saw how well balanced these two teams are. Now on the second map on Hanamura, Plague was able to pull off the win with a bunker strat, and the Inferno was just simply not able to respond to that in time. So we're just going to go ahead and wait for the camera to go back into the lobby and the game to start up. I do know that both teams were taking a 5-minute break, but they should be getting ready to go for map number 3.
Map number 3 being Route 66. Very excited to see. Obviously, that Bastion composition could be just as strong on this map for Plague as it was last time. So Inferno's going to have to decide here what they want to do, especially if Mac is more of a Roadhog player, isn't as comfortable on the Diva. They're going to have to find some way to... They were able to make the Chaos, but it can be harder on Route 66 with a team setting up on that high ground there for a brawl composition with a Reinhardt to get in. But if they do manage to brawl, they have to make sure they're able to get that Bastion down and stop Mercy from getting the res. To bring him back mid-fight, only to potentially melt down the team.
It would be the ultimate cheese here to go for the Bastion comp, but just run Pirate Ship throughout the Route 66 here. We do start with Plague on the offense, if I'm not mistaken, and it looks like Plague is going for a very divey comp here, very mobile heroes. I don't know what they are anticipating rather, but it's certainly not a Bastion or a bunker comp. I have to correct myself. It's Plague is actually on the offense, not on the defense.
Yeah,
sorry about that. So very excited to see how this is going to pan out. Plague on the dive comp here, getting ready in spawn. We have 10 seconds until start of the map. It looks like Plague on the dive will have the advantage over Inferno on the brawl. I'm very excited to see Plague's dive. I've never seen that before. I wonder how that's going to pan out. And
we're going to see Plague coming in here again with that very divey comp. Winston scouting out to see what they have ahead of this curve. Inferno just waiting it out, waiting for Plague to come around that corner for the fight to begin. Going to be interesting to see how they decide to hold this, Rad.
Very interested to see how they're going to hold this. They do have the double shield, I guess, in their brawl comp here with the Sigma instead of a Diva that's a little bit more mobile. If you have the Diva as Inferno, you can jump down to contest the point a little bit, because right now the dive by Plague is just slowly pushing the payload further. They do engage in the dive. They're unable to get a pick so far because of a big lamp there, and we can see capitalizing here the resolution is slow. We do get a pick on Inferno from Inferno here on Plague, and the fight is starting out well for them. Now they seem to be very keen on holding that high ground. Oh, that was a big pick there by Inferno, and they seem to be holding their ground. They're up 1 right now with the spawn disadvantage, but Plague is still pushing through. They seem to be very keen on trying to win this fight, but it looks like Jumpany, it looks like Inferno is able to win this fight.
Inferno is able to win. Plague obviously getting very close to that first point. That could be advantageous to them here, as it's going to be a bit harder for Inferno to hold the high ground, knowing that the point is right behind them and having to watch that to make sure that someone doesn't sneak behind and get the cap. But we're going to see Plague coming out here. Genji scouting out this time, deflecting to see anything, and Inferno might send their way. But we're going to see Winston hiding underneath, looking for the dive here, Rad. I'm going to see how this fight goes.
Absolutely, and if you're playing dive right now, like Plague is doing, you want to be very, very clinical when you dive in. In the meantime, Sigma with a gravitic flux there, countered by the beat here. It's actually panning out well for Plague considering everything, but they do invest the pulse bomb there, and they find a kill, and the blade here by Issa finds a kill as well. So big plays by both Mind on the Tracer and Issa Vibe on the Genji. And it's always good to see a support player like Kawhi, for example, Puddles, get a pick there onto the Inferno DPS here. And that is the cleanup that I like to see jump in.
course, Plague did have to invest a couple ultimates, but it is worth it. Again, though, Inferno making that first hold is very big because for Plague having to invest these ultimates just to get that last bit of the push, obviously, they would have liked to not have to do that, Inferno. So that hold does help them a lot. But Inferno's going to have to come back here, regroup. They certainly held for for a decent amount of time there, but Plague still finding their way through just like they did on the last map after a few hiccups. Curious to see if Plague does what they did last time, and just last time they obviously were able to make very quick work of the second point. So we'll see here after they've won a fight and gotten into their groove, Inferno can find a way to bounce back. Obviously, a Plague with the momentum right now and a lot of confidence heading into this next fight.
It's very good to see the brawl here working in Inferno's favor here, especially if you have a comp that is so tanky with such high sustain. You're going to be able to, you know, deflect the dive off if it's not flinked enough and win the fight out of pure sustain. But going in here with the Blade is a vibe, doesn't actually end up getting a pick, but his team is cleaning up the rest. Mac has had enough of the Blade here and finishes his vibe off, but while he turns around, he has to unfortunately watch his team get picked off by the rest of Plague. So a really well played engagement there by Plague.
And Plague rolling through to this last point here. They're going to be able to take the second point here. Going into the last point, again, rolling very hard. They win 2 fights in a row. And again, with the way that last control point map went, we're going to have to see if they can just keep up the momentum like they'd like to do. Genji getting a very early pick. Lucio getting the second pick. Plague with 2 picks here. Inferno has to try to hold out, but it doesn't seem like they're going to quite be able to do that. Ultimates are right now in favor of Plague, but they've already won this fight, so they're going to go into the next fight seemingly with no longer with the ult advantage, but they are going to win this fight here and be able to get a little bit of push onto this last point. Very interested to see how they manage to get through this if their momentum keeps rolling as it did before.
And you hate to see it, right? You know that as Inferno, you know that you know, Plague is rolling at this time. You need to stop that momentum, and that's where you see a little bit of the old Inferno chaos come back in, where it looks like they were unsure whether they were going to engage in full or whether they were just going to try and sort of lacklusterly attempt to hold the point and hope for a pick. So as I am explaining this, we do get a lot of abilities pumped into this. Mac getting a pick onto the Diva after she gets D-maxed on a very, very big deflect by the Genji on the McCree in his own Deadeye. So that is a massive play by Izavibe right there. Committing the Blade, going in with the Nano, trying to go for the picks. He's slashing around, is not quite getting a picks. They do manage to get a Nubrak in the chaos, and it looks like it looks like Plague is now committing to finish up the fight, but that is a massive play by Prism once again on the Reaper. He seems to be completely in his element right there.
And of course, Plague getting very confident, but Prism does not want his team to be counted out yet here on this first round. Again, holding very much coming in right at the last second to be able to use his ultimate and get, I believe, 3 to 4 picks there. Unfortunately, though, not able to get back in time. He's going to go down. This is going to give a slight advantage to Plague right now, who are pushing in very aggressively.
Yeah, if I'm Inferno, I'm backing up right now because you can see a big nade there by the Ana onto Inferno. It doesn't seem to bother them too much, especially considering Ace is getting a kill on the Genji there. They have evened out the map, committing some ults there by the Tracer. Mind not finding a kill. And right now, we're looking at a slight ult advantage for Plague, but Plague does lose the Lucio. Actually, as I say that, we are up with both flex supports down. It's now a 5v5, and a big commitment there by Reinhardt with a shatter, and despite going in, Inferno response gets 3 kills, and is now cleaning up Plague here, Jumpeni, while they just clean up the last stragglers to win the fight once again.
And Plague deciding to go ahead and use that Earth Shatter there could be very detrimental to them while they still currently have the ultimate advantage. Inferno has 2 right now, and I believe they're close to a 3rd, so it's not that big of an ultimate advantage, it would look like. Although Plague's gonna have to come in here and find a way to get some picks early to hopefully stop Inferno from being able to get too many values out of these ultimates. A Coalescence coming through. Reinhardt able to get a pick on the Genji with his charge, and we're gonna see Inferno pushing through here though. Prism cleaning up, and it's gonna be a very even match right now, although Prism with 2 picks seemingly in Inferno's favor, although we're still evening out here. This fight could still go either way, although it seems as if Inferno might hold. Plague gonna try to find a way in here. Let's see if they can do anything here with their teammates respawning. They're coming for the last push.
Absolutely, and that was incredibly incredibly unlucky there by Ace, pulling the blade out and getting stomps in the charge by the Rhine here. Saying that, Prism goes in with the Death Blossom, gets 2 picks, and gets taken out by Mine on the Ash. It's a trade that's worth it in my opinion, because meantime, Ace is able to get picks onto the Genji and off onto 2 of the Plague members, and it looks like Inferno is able to clean up the fight and hold the payload relatively low up into the last point. So if I were Inferno, I would be relatively happy with that performance.
Very much so, especially with the momentum that Plague was rolling into that point with, being able to stop it there right at the end is very big for them. Prism having a large influence. I believe he had 2 to 3 ultimates there in that final push. All of them holding a lot of value and winning his team a fight. Obviously, thanks to positioning from the rest of his team to set him up for that. You saw early in one of those fights where his team was down and he managed to come in with 2 picks and then use his ultimate to clean up the fight. And Prism having a large influence over the hold there by Inferno. Reaper very effective at just getting in there and getting some picks in the mid fight. It's very much where he wants to be. He wants the fight to last as long as possible so that he can hopefully over time get the advantage with his damage. We're going to see Inferno, though, having to come up with a way to attack here after holding on the last point.
And this is a very interesting comp here by Inferno, actually. They are on the defense right now, and most teams will choose to hold the high ground up onto the gas station there, but generally when they do that, they'll be running some sort of bunker / perhaps brawl variation. And looking at the comp that Inferno is running right now, I can see a brawl plus a Genji. I'm not sure what the plan is there, but we'll see this. And if we look at Plague, Japanese, we can see a very clear bunker setup here. They intend to hold the high ground and not let them get past.
Very much so. I believe that's a Junkrat, I believe, instead of a Bastion, if I'm not mistaken. Very different from the Bastion hold we saw, but hopefully able to be effective here. Plague just holding, letting Inferno come through a little bit until they can find a pick here with the Ash, looking for something, not able to find anything though. Reinhardt and Baptiste pushing on the point here. We're going to see Inferno coming up, maybe trying to push around to the high ground. The Plague is going to have to leave it though, and Inferno is going to come back to the point with a pick, and that could be huge for them. They might be able to swing this fight in their favor.
And as you explained that, that was another big play by Prism here, trying to push Plague back. And just for those watching, in case you are wondering, we know the difference between a Junkrat and a Bastion, but you know, we're watching this from a relatively low resolution, so that's something that we'll have to figure out on our end. But in the meantime, this brawl has started. The Bob is committed. The Mac actually on the Zarya takes Bob out of the way, and they are back onto the point, trying to push it further. They do commit the coalescence here in Prism. Again, a pick on the main tank of Plague, and it looks like Inferno, under Prism's engagement here, manages to clean up the team. And another big, play instigated by Prism here and followed up very confidently by the rest of Inferno. So really well done in that engagement. And I would say that, Jumpani, if I were to compare both times of the offense here, I'd say that they're about equal.
Very much so. Prism, though, walking forward, able to get a pick, which is going to be bad for Plague here. Obviously, they're not going to be able to get to the point, and they're going to be losing this fight already. So not much of a challenge over to although McCree able to get the pick on Prism. This could be big. Prism having a very large influence on this fight. Plague able to get another pick, but Inferno coming back with 2 picks of their own with the Genji Blade. It's going to be a very interesting match. It seems like Inferno able to get a bit more push, though. Plague going to have to regroup and see what they can do here to stop Inferno, who now has some of the momentum, although the ult economy here, very close, certainly. We're going to see Plague seeing what they can do here, getting an ultimate, Brad, and we're going to see if Inferno can try to find a way while being down 1 to win this fight.
So we have a big kill on Ace on the Genji here by Junkrat, who gets taken out here by the Rhine Fire Strike. Brain actually cleans up the Mercy and the Lamp here, leaving Plague completely defenseless, honestly. And it's now up to Plague to try and stop this payload from moving forward. But Jimpani, I don't think they're going to reach the point here before they capture point B.
It would seem so. Inferno getting that second point here. And they don't have the whole way to go here. They only have to get just somewhat further than what Plague got. Although Plague coming in here with a slight ult advantage. Inferno has plenty of time to try to burn through those and use their ultimates. Although Sigma ult coming out here, is he going to be able to get anything with it? He is. One down from Inferno. They might have to back off here if Plague can continue to follow this up. Though Maywall's going to separate the two teams for a second. It goes right back down. And Baptiste's ultimate is going to come out here with the McCree, and they're going to be able to get a pick off of that. Inferno might just have to back off here and wait for the team, although very aggressive play from Plague's McCree. He might lose his life here if he doesn't get back, but he does. Mercy comes in to save him just in time, and it would seem that Plague has stopped the push for now.
They did commit some abilities there to win that fight. It's very important here for Plague to be able to stop them. And as I say that, there's a very big pick there by Prism once again onto McCree. And Prism just goes in and follows up with the Death Blossom, followed up by the team. Anubrak getting a kill rather on Kodak here. And the team just cleaning up the rest of Plague here. And I don't know if Plague is going to be able to hold this jump any. It looks like Inferno's going to ride this payload straight over and into the goalposts.
Very big move for Inferno. They're able to get further than Plague. Very interesting to see how they did that. Again, Prism, a large influence, helped out very much by Nubarak on the tank there, who we saw cleaning up a couple fights and even swinging a lot of fights in his way. But Prism just able to clean up a lot here, coming in with play of the game, where he uses his ultimate here, gets a lot of damage out on the enemy team, and they're just able to clean up here and finish that off.
If anything, I think that Prism is, first of all, Prism is our Oasis server Torb champion. I don't know if the viewers now were aware of this, but as you know, we did have the Torb 1v1 Hammer Championship last month, and Prism came out on top. And while we haven't seen him on the Torbjorn here very much, so he's showing that he's very capable on the Reaper. Every time I've seen him on the Reaper today, I've seen him in the kill feed. So this is this is a potential MVP for me on the Inferno side. And in the meantime, Plague needs to try and figure out how to hold Inferno while they try and close it out on the next map. And just before we head into a 3-minute intermission, just want to say Inferno's up 2 points ahead. Not ahead. Inferno has 2 points right now with Plague at only 1. Plague is going to have to hold on the next map. If they don't, then Inferno will take the win 3-1. But we will figure out when we return in 3 minutes from now.
just come home. In the shadows of the city, buried underneath the dreams of old, lies a heart in need of saving before life will take its toll. When it's dark and streets are empty, and the stars have set the sky alight, you can hear the song it's singing about the love it has tried to find. It's been hurt, it's been burnt, it's been caught off guard, it's been stabbed, it's been crushed, and it's full of scars. It's been broken into pieces, it's been torn apart. There must be some shelter for this homeless heart.
And we are back. It is time for map number 4. I'm curious to see what map they've picked here. I think if my memory serves me right, we should be on Assault, even though that should have been map 3 realistically. We aren't. We are actually going into Hybrid. It looks like we have someone dropping out. May have been a temporary disconnect. I expect since that was Blue Sheep, I expect him to jump in a second. Yeah, I'm just getting through here that Plague seems to be having some internet issues.
No problem. Hopefully they can get that dealt with and come right back.
Yep. So we have the captain of Oasis Plague restarting real quick with some internet issues. We should be back online in a minute or so. We're not going to go into intermission. We'll just stay and look at this stream. And I want to just take this opportunity to go over some of the approaches that the teams can take here on Eichenwald. And we'll have Inferno on the defense at first, and the defender's point here on Eichenwald is generally either very brawly or very much bunker. I've actually seen more brawl than anything else, which goes for the attack to a certain degree as well. But it's a very popular method here is to just go underneath the bridge and hold the choke and just rotate back onto point if the attackers are able to get through or get over. And especially in the second case where they get over. I've seen a lot of Farah, Mercy, and perhaps now even Echo Mercy on the offense here, generally accompanied by a Rhine Diva or a Rhine Zarya if you want to keep that brawl. Now, we did see Plague play the Ashe Echo with the Mercy, which is a very, very solid pick, especially knowing that Plague has Puddles on their team, very capable Mercy player. I'll be very curious to see if they're going to go for this approach or if they're going to opt for a little bit more of a traditional approach with Puddles on the Moira and Blue Sheep on.
And that will be very interesting to see once we get these connection issues fixed here. Again, a very even matchup. I feel that this last map could go either way. Even with Inferno being up, Plague, the match they took very confidently. So it'll be very exciting to see what they're able to do here in a very even matchup. But obviously, Plague down here is going to have something to prove if they want to come out on top here.
Absolutely, and I just got an update here. It looks like Blue Sheep is having some connection issues. So what we're doing right now is we're trying to get a fill here for Blue Sheep. I'm thinking that we'll get either Dakas or probably Zadok if they're available, who are both members of Oasis Hurricane. Now I don't know if they have any availability, but the rules do state that you can sub out anyone in case of issues that is an active member of any Oasis squad and resides within the SR range of your lowest and your highest SR player on the team. And that means that a lot of players here on Oasis are actually qualified to fill, because the SR range difference, in Plague is actually quite substantial. I think they're utilizing the close to the max of the 500 SR range difference between their lowest and their highest SR player. So while we wait on Plague to find a fill, which will likely be Sadak or maybe Dacus, I'm very curious to know how that's going to impact Plague's ability to play together. I'm unsure who's the shot caller. I think the target caller might be Cloud. I don't know that for 100% certain. But it looks like we do have a fill in Zadok, who is Hurricane's flex support player. I'm just going to go ahead and notify the lobby owner that we're going to have Zadok fill. Unless they are already aware. It looks like they may actually be aware of the fill here. Yes, we do have Sadok in the game. It's just up to Octave now to invite him. And while I am tabbed out to see what's going on, I just realized that he's been invited in. So I think we are all ready to go here. Set up with on Oasis Plague, we have Kodak on main tank, Cloud on off tank, Mind on hit scan DPS is a vibe on projectile, and then Puddles is a main support player actually, as well as Sadok here on the flex support. Going up for map number 4, versus Oasis Inferno on the left-hand side of the blue team with a Nubrak on main tank, Mac on off tank, who's actually an Oasis Hurricane member as well. And then, of course, Ace on the hit scan, Prism on the projectile, Octave on the flex support, and Ink on main support. Looks like we are ready to go. Loading up Eichenwald here on hybrid. I am very curious to see what comp is going to come out of both teams. Like I said, I expect a brawl on the defense and perhaps some sort of brawl variation with some range, perhaps a pharmacy on the attacking side. But regardless of what it's going to be, we've seen so far that it's been a very close map, and I fully expect this to be another very close map.
With the compositions coming in, we're going to see Inferno going with Rhyme, Sigma, Genji, Junkrat, Baptiste, and Moira versus Play going to go with Rhyme, Zarya, Ashe, McCree, Lucio, and Ana. Junkrat can be very big on this first point defense. I believe since the start of this game, Junkrat has been very famously strong on this first point here. So we're going to be interesting to see if Prism, who's done a lot of work on Reapers, proved to be a very worthy DPS. Let's see what he can do here on Junkrat and how well he can hold Plague, and see what Plague can do, especially Cloud on the Zarya. Will have to try to find ways to counter the unpredictable nature of Junkrat's damage, hopefully to gain charge for herself and her team and be able to push through this point.
And I'm not going to lie, I'm very excited to see how this plays out on the defense. Inferno has a very sort of a mix between a bunker and I'm not entirely sure what it is, but they don't have a lot of accurate long-range attacks here. And on the other side, Plague does actually have the McCree and the Ashe, and as you can see, that immediately plays into their advantage, where Mind on the Ashe, I believe. Yeah, Mind on the Ashe is able to get an early pick. They're now going up against Inferno 5v6. And it looks like if they keep this up, they do have the sustain with Lucio and the Ana. Maybe not so much as the Moira in Inferno's favor, but as I say, that play gets the pick on to Junkrat. Inferno's fighting back with a kill on Sadok on the Lucio, but it looks like Plague is able to clean up the fight here, Jumpini, and the only last kill on Inferno's side is Mac and Prism, actually, but it's to no avail.
Yeah, Prism able to get a last second kill, but it's doesn't add up to anything, as Plague's going to be able to take this point. We're going to see, I don't think we're seeing any switches here. So Plague pushing forward, sort of just trying to farm ult charge and maybe find anyone from Inferno out. Inferno looking for anyone who might overextend here. Reinhardt's going to get stunned. He is low health, but he's going to get Zarya bubble. He's going to be able to come right back. Plague, a very interesting push, although we're going to see the Junkrat ultimate come out, and let's see if it can get anybody. And it does. Inferno with a triple kill. Prism, again, making his presence felt on Junkrat.
This okay, so I'm gonna call it now. It looks like Prism is a valid contender here for man of the match, or player of the match here
Very much so.
Initially just the Junkrat, but or sorry, the Reaper of course, but now showing us that he's very capable on the Junkrat as well. Having said that, this is a team game. Honestly, what I can see here, Prism is only able to do all of this because of the space that's being created by his tanks and the support sustain that they are getting from their support players. But this, right now, is a statement by Plague saying, you know what, we've had enough of you. They start off with the kill on the lamp. They're not having any of that, and clean up the entire team minus Mac. Mac has seen what's going on, and he's decided to just jump off the cliff. There's no use going into that much rage.
And of course, as you noted, a credit to the tanks for what Prism has been able to do. But Plague here pushing very strong. Zarya ultimate not going to be able to get anyone thanks to Baptiste. Although we're going to see Earthshatter pick up a kill, and Inferno has 2 kills, hopefully looking like they can stop this push from Plague, making their statement right back. Although Plague trading off with a Bob, 2 kills. Plague might have a chance of pushing. It seems like they want to contest here, fighting on the bridge, hoping for another pick. With 2 hit scan out here, trying to get a pick from range, maybe earning themselves a move, hoping that their team can come back faster and the enemy can respawn. Inferno going to have to hold them off here.
And I just want to call out the very delicate play here by Mind on the Ashe. He's very nimble, moving behind the payload and back to the right to try and gauge the situation to see if it's viable to go and push in. And he does this long enough to wait for the team to come back, and he now capitalizes on a pick with a pick on Mac, which is a very large share of Inferno's damage output on this map so far. And as I am praising Mind for his delicate play, this Survive just comes in and gets 4K.
Prism able to get a kill, but doesn't add up to anything, although his ultimate is going to come out here. We're going to see if he's going to be able to get any value out of it as he did last time. I'm going to hold it for a little bit and try to confuse the enemy team, but he's going to come in and get a pick on the Ashe, so Inferno is going to have to capitalize on this. The Rhine swinging at each other on the point. No other picks coming out from the teams yet. We're going to see McCree ultimate charged up here. We're going to see Baptiste Lamp get taken down. Prism finding a kill on the Ana. McCree pushing hard. Prism finding another pick to counter the pick that Plague gets. And with the help of a Nubarak making a lot of space, Prism's able to get some picks, and the tanks are able to clean that up.
And credit where credit's due. Plague's been pushing this payload throughout Eichenwald like it's no one's business. But the way that these two teams vibe and match up against each other is such a close fight. We can see here Mind getting ready with the Bob, ready to just send him to point and take back control. But Mac is saying, nope, it's not going to happen today. He opens the fight with a pick on McCree, and Ace, who's been kind of somewhat in the shadow, dealing damage from the back, saying, you know what, I want some of that, and gets a pick off of Plague, forcing them to retreat back into their spawn, Jumpeni. And as that plays out, Inferno is done pushing and retreats back to the payload.
And Plague is going to come in here with the ultimate advantage. 5 ultimates at their disposal with the Rhino ultimate close. Although it is worth noting, Inferno with 3 ultimates. Junkrat ultimate coming out here.
Seems like Jumpeni is disconnected, so I'm gonna go and follow up on that. Junkrat gets the tire kill on Ashe, and Octave actually fills the void here with a pick. Ace of Spades wants some of the kill feed and decides to get a pick there as well. And this has been such a balanced game in terms of who shows up in the kill feed here for Inferno. After having praised Prism for the popping off, we can see that all of Inferno is actually showing up and is here for the picks.
Inferno very much clearing that fight. A very hard fight to win, given the ult advantage that Plague had going in, but with a lot of ults invested, Inferno is going to come out with 2 ultimates here, actually looking for a big ult advantage. Able to slow Plague down. Plague has been very effective with pushing. We're going to see a Coalescence coming out here. Reinhardt has his ultimate. He's going to have to find a way to use it all. Mac finding a pick here. Worth noting, the Junkrat ultimate gets taken out this time. Deep Adam ultimate. Lucio is going to get a boop kill onto Prism. McCree coming in with his ultimates. A lot of ultimates invested here by Inferno. Going to be curious to see if Reinhardt decides to invest his, but he might not need to. The picks from McCree maybe being enough here. with Plague having to regroup and maybe come in again here.
And it's very interesting to see how Octave and Inksplash supports Anubrak while he pushes over and back with the Reinhardt. If you're Ryan, you can't do anything unless you have a very reliable, solid backline to back you up as you go for your pushes and your retreats. And especially considering they don't have a Lucio on their team right now, this is very difficult to pull off. And another unsung hero here on this map, I want to say, is Cloud, and we saw that just now. As a diva player, it's very difficult to get big plays and get to the spotlight, but in situations like this one right here, where you're using your D matrix to eat up this whole hog, but as well the Junkrat tire that Cloud took out earlier, those are big plays that don't show very big on the screen, but have a massive impact on the game, Jumpeni. And it's players like Cloud and Mac as well that are contributing a ton. Just as I say this right now, talking of big plays, Kodak with a massive shatter gets a pick, but Plague is unable to completely capitalize, considering you still have Nubrak and Prism in the game.
Of course, and with both teams investing an ultimate or two, it seems like Inferno is going to come out of this with the ultimate advantage again. Although Plague getting 2 picks, currently contesting, Inferno using an ultimate, trying to bring this fight back in their favor, and it looks like it might be enough, except for we have 2 ultimates coming in from Plague that say, no, we are not done yet, it's overtime and we want to go. And Earthshatter coming in might not be enough. 2 picks, teams trading picks back and forth on point here. We're going to see Inferno taking out the enemy McCree. We're going to see Reinhardt here getting a pick, and it looks like Inferno might be able to hold Plague, and that's it.
Was a massive play there by Nubrak, landing Shatter onto 3 players, rendering them immobile and cleaning up with the rest of his team. This has been an epic fight so far. I'm very happy to see Plague being able to push it up to pass point B, but Inferno's comeback and the holds after point B has been massive, and that just tells me that with Inferno on the push here, if they don't capture point B, it's going to be very tough. But if they capture point B, it's likely that they're going to take this home. So what happens in the next 3 minutes is going to dictate who's going to take this home.
Of course, and you love to see it if you're a fan of the Overwatch lore. 2 Reinhardts going at it on this map, but we are going to see Plague rolling with Sigma and Orisa here at the tanks, trying to hold Inferno back here. Interesting comp coming out. Use it with the Ashe Echo, or sorry, with the Ashe Pharah for Plague on defense here. Gonna try to stop Prism and the Reaper.
They did actually start out on the Echo first, or at least that's what they had selected, but it looks like Echo may still be slightly too new of a hero for Isavive to be comfortable on her. So the swap down to the Echo, which is just as capable, don't worry about that, is a very good pick in my opinion, especially considering how good Isavive is on the Pharah. We've seen him before on the Gen Control Center, and we'll see him again get kills here on the Pharah, undoubtedly.
We're going to see Plague with the Pharah just looking for some picks, looking for some damage here as Inferno comes under the bridge. Nubrak taking cover from these hits here. He's going to be trying to peek around here and see what they can do. They're going to start pushing in under the bridge. Again, that Pharah raining down heavy on them the whole way through. We're going to see Inferno finally make their way through the bridge. Plague backing up to the point. Mercy looking low, though. Pharah going to be able to make some plays here, hopefully. Singling out Ashe here. And Pharah is going to be able to, with a slight taunt, take Ashe down in a very intimidating manner, might I say. Plague, hopefully pulling this fight, although an ultimate Coalescence coming out here from Inferno might swing it in their favor.
The Coalescence commitment here is very interesting, considering they were down in Ashe. Pharah, Isavive actually committing the ult, gets 1 kill, but in the meantime, Max shows the importance of an off-tank here. They do commit the Genji Blade here, and while they get a pick here onto Kodak on the Sigma, I don't think that was completely necessary to win the fight.
Worth noting that every fight seems to be extremely close, with both teams trading picks up until the very last moment. Usually, you will expect to see at least a couple fights, and we certainly have, but not as many as you'd expect. Where you get a pick and that 5v6 advantage is enough to roll the team, but it does not seem to be that way here. Both teams very evenly matched and trading very well in these fights.
Absolutely, and we do see Ubrak pushing out quite a bit, and in the meantime we get Ink Splash on the Moira picked off, and this is a lost fight for Inferno, mainly because of Issa Vibe's pressure here from the high ground. Now we do have Genji going up to try and contest the Pharah, but in your traditional Overwatch setting, maybe Genji's not the best pick to try and deal with the Pharah Jumpany, and I would probably, if I were Ace, swap to something that can get a little bit more pressure up on sort of the pharmacy if it's a really big deal, unless you have Prism on your team, of course.
Of course, the mechanical skills not to be questioned for both DPS here. Issa with a very nice flick before getting headshotted by Ashe, although we're going to see 2 picks coming in here from Inferno, hopefully pushing this cart forward for them.
So I just want to point this out as well. We were watching Prism's point of view just now, and you can see how he casually deals with the Bob, turns around, notices the shatter by Anubrak, tosses in the dynamite to just help with that extra damage, and then goes back to trying to casually deal with the Bob if he's still there.
Very good play coming out from Prism here. We're going to see Issa looking to take the bridge from this Genji here with another duel between the two going down. Obviously not seeming like it's going to go in Genji's favor. He's going to have to back off here. Issa able to just rain down on the point, although Prism finding the pick here on the enemy Ashe. Coalescence coming into the point for Inferno. Very even match here. Picks coming in for both teams. We're going to see a Genji Blade and Sigma coming out here. And it looks like Plague is going to be able to get the pick advantage, but Reinhardt coming in and Nubarak coming in for Inferno. Getting a charge kill on the Orisa. This is still a winnable fight for Inferno, although the Issa ultimate is going to find 2, and it looks like with that, Plague will be able to hold this point for now.
That's a massive play by Issa a very, very big res there by Puddles as well to bring back the fallen team member there. Plague making a statement here, holding the payload high up towards point B. The only thing I'm a little bit concerned about is the fact that they decide to stay with the payload rather than getting the high ground, especially considering the swap here onto Inferno for the double range. They're going to want to take the high ground here and poke at Plague from a range. And Plague is just kind of sitting there, uses the bongos, does get actually pressured by the Prism here, or by the Ashe here rather. But Kodak is not phased. He's getting 2 picks. And Anubrak has, had enough of it and just decides to jump down and reset.
You see your res coming in here, Plague. That double rock kill, very big to win that fight, it would seem, for Kodak. An interesting little interaction here between Issa and Ace of Spades. Unfortunately, Widow doesn't always win that 1v1 there, but we're going to see Plague trying to regroup here. So far, they've been able to hold this second point very effectively. Due to a very early 2 picks with that double rock from Kodak Blue. I believe, I'm not sure if he finished them or if he knocked them off the map. I didn't quite catch a glimpse of that there.
Well, while we go back and figure that one out, we do get an early pick here on the Tracer, and that does not bode well for Inferno. Now, while they go in and spend time, the payload actually does move back, and I would say that pushing up with the payload is slightly easier. When you have the payload rolled back a little bit than it is going in with the payload all the way up front, because the payload does give natural cover, and it heals you up, of course, if you stand on top of it when attacking team. So we do see an interesting swap here by Anubrak onto the Winston. It seems like they feel pressure to get point presence with Plague setting up in this bunker comp. This is a very, very straightforward bunker comp, if any, with the Junkrat and the Ashe in the back line, and then the double shield up front. It seems to be that I see a lot of double shield here for Plague coming out today, Jumpany, where they are seemingly very capable and very confident in a bunker competition.
Very much so. Issa very confidently and aggressively holding that bridge, not worried about his health, knowing he could just rain down and see if he could clean up a few kills after that fight was won. But Inferno's going to have to find a way in here. Not switching off the Genji yet, still confident in that pick. It has got him this far, so let's see what Ashe is able to do here. Ashe with a couple shots, but it's not going to be enough. Genji diving the Ashe very hard here. We're going to see Mercy hanging around on the bridge, trying to stay back and heal her team. Looks like Junkrat ultimate gets taken down by Moira. We're going to see a coalescence. We're going to see a lot of ultimates invested here onto the point. So far going Plague's way on defense as it has been so far, though. Prism finding a kill. Ace of Spades finding a kill. Hopefully turning something here, although a res is going to make that very unlikely. More kills come in. Oh, wow. Prism with a pick, and we're going to see Lucio actually finding a kill. Inferno might have a final shot here if they can win this fight with their team coming back and a ball diving down onto the point, Rad. Let's see if they can win it.
This is a crucial blade here. Let's see if we can get some value. They do take out the lamp here and actually end up taking 2 picks, but it looks like both Vap and Ash want to stop Inferno in their tracks. Now, they do send the Bob to the point. Bob misses the point, but it does provide a lot of pressure here on Inferno, and I would be very impressed, Jumpenny, if they are able to clutch this out, and it looks like they are unable to, and Plague draws the game to 2-2, and we're now going into the last and 5th map, which is going to be Control.
So yet again, with how close these teams are, after see Kodak Blue with the play of the game here on Reinhardt. I believe in Earth Shatter, of course, that we saw earlier. Able to get a very large amount of the enemy team. 3 of them here under the BAP, and he's going to get that down. Just walk through. Very good hold by Plague to even this game up.
Yeah, that was a massive, massive play there by Kodak. Almost went unnoticed. So we're just going to go ahead and head into a 3-minute intermission again while we set up both Inferno and Plague for the first map 5 that we've seen in the Oasis Cup. And hopefully not the last one, because this match has been so close. I have no idea who's going to win this. So we'll be back in about 3 minutes from now, guys.
That's what I've been told, that's what I've been shown. And all the love is gone, my baby. And all the love is gone, my baby. Oh, and all the love is, and all the love is, and all the love is. I see us falling. Say what you want about me. Say what you like. It doesn't matter lately, 'cause we're living a life. And all the love is gone, my baby.
All right, and we are getting ready for map number 5. This is shown to be a very exciting matchup here, as Jumpany, especially considering we're seeing both teams taking turns winning the matchup, and it's not like it's a 2-0 roll and then a reverse sweep or anything like that in the making. It's very balanced. Both teams taking time to calculate their engagement, try and set up the win there with their strategy. It does look like we are going into Oasis for the last map here. Another control map as per the Oasis Cup rules. We're just waiting for the teams to get ready and get started.
Welcome
So
to Oasis.
we are loading into the map right now and just waiting for both teams to set up. It sounds like you were
Initiating
muted there for a
match.
second, Jumpany. I did not hear anything you said if you were talking.
Yeah, my bad there. I'm just saying, again, a very exciting matchup. These two teams are very close so far. Very interesting to see what comes out of this.
Absolutely, and we are in our last map, so I'm curious to see what's going to happen here. They are just assembling their heroes, and we'll see the first picks coming in. The hero picks coming in 5 seconds from now. We do have a very nice looking green wall here.
Ready for
Okay,
battle.
we have a camera guy back in in the match, and looking at some of these preliminary comps here with I'm gonna guess 15 or so seconds left to go. We can see a brawl set up on Inferno side and a bit of a mix there on the side of Plague with the Echo Ash, which has shown to be an incredibly powerful comp.
Round one.
I
Capture
actually used to run
the
this a lot, quite a lot myself in Avalanche, with the only difference being a Diva instead of a Zarya, just to get that little bit of vertical mobility to get up onto the high ground here. But Inferno's playing this the way a brawl should be played. You get to the point and you force the enemy to come to you, and Octave is very skillfully taking full advantage of that with a boop on the Rhine. And Prism, we know him best for getting kills, and that's exactly what he's doing right now on the Echo, no less.
And of course, we've seen worth noting throughout the game a lot of very interesting picks coming in from Octave on Lucio. Very unique, getting a lot of boop kills that you wouldn't always expect to be seeing, especially in such a high level match. But we're going to see Plague coming in here to the point, trying to find a way in here. Reinhardt getting bubbled. The Ryan Zarya combo going to go in and just start brawling on the point. Inferno, though, able to get 2 picks here early in the match. And it looks like they might be able to hold this point. If Plague can't pull anything off, they're going to have to back up and wait for their team to come back in order to re-engage this point.
Yeah, we can see both Anubrak and Ace getting picks on their mirror, and Ace, is seen enough of Prism in the spotlight and decides for a 3K himself, a 4K, or I may not have counted that correctly, but it just goes to show that while we have Inferno crouching here, trying to set up for a big play, Zadok actually sees Anubrak and sleeps him, while Mac is not allowing any of that to go through and just goes in and gets a kill on Cloud on the enemy Roadhog, and Prism getting a pick on Kodak on the Rhine. And it looks like Inferno is dominating this match so far, Jumpany, at coming up to 60% right now. I'm afraid that Plague might only have 2 fights left of them if they play this quickly.
Yeah, very nice play coming in by the Ana with the sleep, but unfortunately it's not going to be enough. Inferno able to find some kills and find the way into holding this point to 70%.
Now, looking at the comp here, Plague has 2 ults, maybe a third one coming up in Isavibe and Kodak, but we can also see that Inferno has 5 ults ready, with the only exception being the beat. And it looks like we're gonna use a bunch of ults here. Ace of Spades with the Deadeye gets a pick on the McCree and the Mercy, but Mind is not letting up, and he is getting a pick on the McCree, and Plague gets confidence and cleans up Ink Splash on the Moira, and also takes care of the tank lineup in Inferno, and as a result, they take the points and turn it into their favor. Now it's up to them to hold this for a full 100%. Despite an ult disadvantage.
Yeah, Plague coming in here to overtime, knowing they had to win that last fight if they wanted to have a chance at this round, and they do confidently take it. We are going to see, though, unfortunately for Plague, Inferno coming in with 3 ultimates, one of which being Prism, who has so far throughout this game gotten very good ultimates throughout this match. Although Plague has been able to destroy his Rip Tires before, we'll see if they can counter him here as Plague finds a pick on Prism, a key player to take down. Of course, Octave finding a pick, but we're going to see Izzabod coming back. Teams are trading picks as we've seen this entire game, just back and forth. One team gets 1 pick, one team gets 2, the other team comes back with the exact same thing. Plague, however, able to hold this point and swing the ult advantage in their favor.
And this is what I like to see personally. 2 teams going into a brawl with only 1 or 2 players at the end of the fight left standing up, and we do see Inferno commit the beat there on the fight, and that allows them to get some picks in the counter engage. But Plague actually ends up on top while we watch Inferno go in with the Cole, and Plague responding with the Bob here and the High Noon. Actually ends up getting a kill onto the support, with Bob actually getting 2 kills. Bob, unsung hero, if any, in favor of Plague here, and Ace, is given up and jumps off to quick reset.
We're going to see Mind and Izzabod coming together, able to make Ash and McCree work together and put their differences aside in order to trade some very good picks there with their ultimates. We're going to see Inferno coming in with ult advantage here. However, last time we saw Plague was able to stop that and actually switch it in their favor after the fight. So this is going to be very close. This next fight would seem to determine the match. We're going to see Ace of Spades coming around, Mac getting a pick, Ace of Spades finding a pick. Good camera work by the cameraman here as we're going to see an ultimate come in from McCree on the point. And we're going to see Inferno look like they're going to take this, but with picks coming back and forth, Plague is still very much alive in this. It's 2-3. And it looks like Plague's going to have to step out. Will they be able to contest in time?
And now where we see Ash and McCree putting their differences aside on the Inferno side, we see McCree and Reaper definitely not putting their differences aside and fighting for the spot in the kill feed. And as a result, Inferno is completely capable of benefiting off of that and ends up winning this round. Very impressive, 99 to 100%. I can't wait to see this map. This is a much more vertical map. There's a lot more room for very mobile heroes. I myself like to play dive comps on this map here, just because of the verticality. And as you know, dive is very capable, if executed well, to deal with a brawl comp. And brawl is what Inferno seems to want to run here most of the time, with the only difference here being, the Ace of Spades on the McCree rather than the main Jumpeni. And on the other side, we can see Plague with the double hit scan once again.
And we're going to see a very interesting Zenyatta that I don't believe we've seen yet in this matchup. So we're going to see what the Phil can do here on that Zenyatta, with Inferno actually taking the high ground here, going up off the bounce pad. We're going to see a little standoff happen here as there's still 7 seconds left until that control point unlocks. Going to see a couple headshots come out here from Ace of Spades, finding some damage. A hook misses. He dodges right out of the way, but Inferno's got to go right onto the point. Nubarak making the engagement happen. We're going to see Izzabod looking for some shots here. He's going to be turning around Rad, and we're going to see him melt into someone, have to come out, and this is a very, very intense brawl.
Absolutely, they full-on engage. We get a big purple there on both support players. Inferno here, and Octave, while that's all playing out, gets a pick onto the enemy Roadhog, and we get a very, very quick build-up coalescence there by Ink. And it looks like so far, Zadok being one of the few Zenyatta mains here on the Oasis server, actually not really benefiting as much as they would like to with the Zenyatta pick. And of course, Zenyatta is somewhat out of the meta, you could say, lately. But with potentially some of the upcoming patches, I would love to see more Zenyatta in the current meta.
Of course, Zenyatta, very loved character that hasn't seen a lot of play in the meta recently with hero pools and the Overwatch League, able to see some play, but we're going to see Plague coming in here. The Reinhardts, of course, just battling out. We're going to see a Lucio come out here from Octave, and we're going to see Hammer Downs come in
That is a
from both
massive,
sides.
massive shatter, and you can see it coming. You see Kodak setting up for that shatter. He has it ready. He's playing that mental game with the Nubrak, while the Nubrak does not have the shatter yet, and he fully capitalizes on that knowledge, winning the fight in a very, very convincing manner, Jumpeni, and it's up to Inferno now to dictate the pace and get back up onto the point.
Very excited to see what Inferno does here. They are up, but Plague, seeming as if they're the underdogs, losing the first map and losing the first fight here, are going to come back and get some charge themselves. Here's some percentage on the point. Ace of Spades going low, but he managed to get right out. He's going to have ult charge here. We're going to see Reinhardt with an air shatter, looking to make a play. Inferno going up on that bounce pad again, looking to engage off it. It worked for them before. Why not go back to it? Ash, unfortunately, is going to burn them. They're going to have to step back and wait here. Ash looking for a shot. A mind here makes very good plays. The Dynamite going to get seemingly the entirety of Inferno rad. We're going to see a very intense brawl with Coalescence coming out here from Inferno. And we're going to see McCree here on the high ground, Ace of Spade. Mac finding a pick on the Bob, able to stop and shut down that ultimate. And now we're going to see a lot of ultimates exchanging both ways here. But Anubrak's able to find a pick. The Zenyatta ult maybe coming in a little late.
And it's so methodical how Plague knows exactly what's going to happen. They set up for the counter. They have McCree ready with a Deadeye, fully anticipating the jump down by Plague, but they are able to deal with that engage and in the first place. But despite that, we have Ace on the high ground with the McCree, getting pick after pick, enabling his team and the team enabling him to turn this around and win the fight. This has been a very close match, but right now, Inferno is looking very good.
Very much. We're going to see Zenyatta switch off to a Brigida here, but we are going to see Prism get an early pick on the Reinhardt and Inferno. It's just going to take their chance here to go in. They're very high on ult percentage. This is a scary situation to be in if you're Plague. Inferno actually coming in here with ult advantage as well. Hopefully the Brigida switch can provide them with the change in momentum that they're going to need. Try to get this back not only in time, but be able to hold it. Because this could be mad for them. Plague is going down in ult charge. We're going to see McCree ult come out from Ace of Spades. And Inferno just kind of holding the gate here with ult advantage, burning through an ultimate. Seemingly just waiting for Plague to come in, but Plague finding a pick on their way in. And it looks like they're going to be able to make some big plays here. Although Lucy Hold comes in just in time to save the Reinhardt. Plague getting some picks. Teams trading back and forth. It would seem to be even right now with Ace of Spades finding a pick on Isavibe. But we're going to see trades again this entire match. Trades just picks going back and forth. Honestly, never being able to tell who's going to win a fight until the very end. This fight could still go either way with Ace of Spades finding a pick, although it seems Plague will get the point and start contesting here, very similar to the last match.
It's been a very close match so far. You can definitely see them trading off back and forth here between the Inferno team and the Plague team. Now, they do engage here with the Coalescence, trying to get ready to set up for the win, but a massive shatter once again by Kodak. Prism actually not very happy with that. Goes in, commits the Death Blossom, gets the pick onto the enemy Rein, and just cleans up while they commit the grab here. And it looks like there's a clear winner now. And that means that we have Inferno winning the first match of the second round.
Wow.
Very, very entertaining match so far, and very, very well done by both teams. Now, while we look at this play of the game here by Isavibe, very well deserved, absolutely. I'm going to go and see if we can drag in our player of the match, and you guessed it, Prism, into the chat for some questions.
All right.
So while I set this up, Jumpeni, what is the most interesting the map, the best map that you've seen so far? While I go and grab Prism.
The first map, I say, Lijiang was very enjoyable. That's where we saw Prism really start to make himself known in those early brawls, and that's where we saw him. And while I believe Inferno did take that, obviously Plague came right back. So it's been a very interesting back and forth between these teams. But I liked early on seeing Prism sort of make a name for himself that he was able to maintain for the whole of the match and get his team the win. Obviously through a lot of very good play by the entirety of Inferno.
Absolutely, and I just love seeing this match in such a close matchup as well. So we do have Prism joining us for a second. Let me go ahead and drag him into our admin chat here for a second, so we can ask him 2 questions about his play. I'm very curious to see what went through him while he was landing these picks, because that was one thing that he was certainly certainly doing. So, very well done, Prism. Thank you for joining us. First of all, GG, very, very close match, very, very entertaining to watch. How do you feel after beating Plague?
Very happy. It was such a hard game. GG's to
It's-
everyone.
It absolutely showed. It was such a close game, going back and forth between Plague being up and Inferno being up. But one thing that we saw recurring throughout the match was Prism getting kills top right in the kill feed, and of course, it wasn't just you're enabled by your team. You are enabling your team, but this was your second match of the Oasis Cup. How do you guys feel going up against some of the other teams?
Honestly, Plague was the one team we usually lost to. So we beat them now. We're ready.
You're ready. You're vibing.
Yes, we're
ready to
vibing.
take on the teams in the upper half of the standings right now. Thank you for joining us, and good luck, GG. Well done, and we'll see you perhaps next time in the next marquee matchup.
Yeah, good
All right.
game.
Yep, GG's.
Good game, dude. All right, so that is it for us today. We will have another match coming up next week. I am not 100% sure who we will be hosting. I think, and this is preliminary, I think it will be Abyss and Inferno coming up next week. I'm not entirely sure when they will be playing. We will be announcing this beforehand. But until then, Jumpeni, thank you very much for joining us. We'll look forward to having you with us on the next streams. Yeah, good.
Thank you very much. Yeah, glad to be here. Enjoyed the stream. Very good match.
Absolutely. We'll see you guys next time.